Okay, so as you could tell, it is the October 31st. It is Halloween. And I am Dr. Pam Perry, and we are here today in another Speak, Sell, Shine follow-up session. This one is really, really good. I'm excited about it because it's going to talk about how we talk, how we show up, what it is that we need to do to sound better, to be better, to sell better, to shine better. And Linnita is really public speaker coach or a speaker coach. So I know we had Brian give you all some tips, but basically those tips were just really for when we were doing the interviews and when we were doing the stage talk. This is more overall like a holistic approach of what Linnita does for executives and people who are speaking. So she was part of the cohort number one last year. That was, and she did a good job. And actually, she made a pivot. She made a pivot from last year to this year. And I want to say she is just jamming on the thing. And I love, and I hope everyone subscribe to her YouTube channel. Please, if you did, just make sure that you do that. That is that, and also in the Telegram, we'll put everybody's YouTube channel in there so we can all subscribe to each other's YouTube channel because that's important. YouTube is our main thing. Dr. Gigi knows that we talked about that today, and I said YouTube is going to be your thing. All right. And then it just kind of spreads out from there because if we're speaking, the best way where people can hear that and see that is by doing video. And Linnita has a great presentation that she wants to share with everyone. So give them a little bit of your background of where you started and where you are now.
I sure will. Good evening, everybody. Happy Thursday. Okay, so when I didn't sign up to be a speaker, it wasn't a desire of mine. I did not desire to do it. I didn't even feel comfortable doing it. It kind of fell into my lap. So when I left undergrad, I was hired to oversee an outreach campaign. And in that role, I was responsible for traveling to every middle school in the state of Maryland. I've been to everyone to do presentations. This was 12 years ago. I had to create that content from scratch. And I also had to do it in a way that would captivate the attention of, at minimum, 300 middle schoolers. I did that for 3 years. Sometimes I had 6 assemblies in a day. So when people ask me, how did you get so polished and well rehearsed? It was definitely through practice, literally. To give you a little bit further back, my desire was to be a journalist. I grew up in Prince George's County, Maryland, and everybody was Black where I'm from, even the people at the gas station. The only people who weren't Black were at the carryout. But everywhere else, everybody was Black. We might have had one Asian, two Africans, and we know we would call them Black as well, and maybe one white person in my high school. And I ended up at a PWI. I went to Towson University in Baltimore. And at that time, it's not like that anymore. But at that time, I was the only Black student in all of my classes. And when I got to the journalism classes, I noticed my speech did not sound like those that I was around. Now, you're listening to someone who's been doing this, exercising the skill of utilizing my voice for over 12 years. You're listening to that person, but I didn't used to sound like this. In fact, I actually struggled with pronunciation and articulation. My words were not fluid. I had a habit of breaking INGs. And, you know, I remember my first job, my boss sat me down. She said, I know that you're going out and you're doing these presentations. There are a few words that I want to correct you that I often hear you pronouncing incorrectly. That's how bad it was. I was determined. I was determined to prove to myself that I was capable. I was capable of being not only effective and captivating, but being clear. And that came through practice. Along with studying, years of studying, so people ask me, did you have a public speaking coach? No, I didn't have a public speaking coach. But I read a lot of books, a lot of practice, and I became fascinated with it. And halfway through my journey, I reached out to an organization who books speakers, and I wanted to be on their roster. And I submitted all the materials. It took me like 2 days to do. They wanted everything, videos, lots of elements that I had to create to submit. It was a big deal. And they called me and they said, we can tell that you are a good speaker, You're about an 8 out of 10. Exact words. You're about an 8 out of 10. And it's not that your speaking isn't good, it's just that you're not buyable to our ideal buyers. Now, this is an organization primarily servicing those whom are white and how do I put this? And their buyers are usually white women, just by data. This is not assumption. This is not me trying to be racist, just by data. And again, I wanted to challenge myself. This is the first thing that I wanted to talk about was the ability to universally appeal to others. Now, there's a thing called code switching. There's a thing called faking it until you make it. I don't subscribe to that. I consider myself a holistic public speaking coach. I feel that we should be the same person in our role that we are at home, that we are in private. I'm the same person. I'm the same person at my church, in my other roles, when I'm coaching clients. This doesn't change. It's only through continuity that you can build a skill. I feel like, and I've never heard anybody say this, and you drop this in the comments if you have, but if you're always putting on or performing, you're not perfecting.
That's good.
Perfection comes through continuity of practice. So I feel there should be a holistic development from a person. Here's some of the things that I have seen people do. Now, if you're like me, I grew up in a Black church. I'm actually a licensed minister, praise God. Now, you probably couldn't tell that by how I speak. Now, there are moments when I am called to minister to our congregation, and I serve at a mega church. And there is a different language that we use. That's what I mean by universal. So without a person seeing you physically, them just hearing your words, I call it verbal character. They should not be able to subscribe you to a certain thing. They shouldn't be able to say, oh, that person must have came out the mud and made it, or that person must have grew up with white people. That person must, like those assumptions that people make. Mm-hmm. And I say this all the time, people hear with their eyes. So I'm getting ahead of myself, so let me pause for a second. When I went back to that organization to reapply, I wrote a book about my story that I negotiated my first salary in that role that I told you about. And it was called The College Strategy. It positioned me to work with the college market and the high school market. I did that for about 5 years. And to be honest, that's where I made the bulk of my money until I was in front of a Jack and Jill regional conference. If you all are familiar with Jack and Jill's, a private group for Black, well-off parents who want their children to be cultured, and amongst other prominent individuals, trying to use their language. I can't remember. They were a really good client of mine in the pandemic. I was in front of that group of students and I was bored. That's my ideal client. They pay whatever price I send them. And that's how I knew it was time to change the audience I was serving. Fast forward, I just started doing random content on Instagram. At first, my content was targeting. I was targeting high school parents, helping them devise a career plan for their students. And that was during the pandemic. I wrote a curriculum about it, a course about it. I paid for a $10,000 business coaching program to help build that out, course and everything. And when I got that message in front of Jack and Jill, it took me a year and a half to actually make a pivot. There was a mental war that I was battling. One, am I good enough to make that change? People don't see me as that. They don't see me as a public speaking coach, someone who could teach them that. They see me as the person who works with students. Mm. And the second piece was, will it function? And what about my existing clients? Do I turn that off and just go cold turkey? So it took a year and a half to make a change. Actually, it was this time last year when right. Pam had reached out to me. It was this time last year I'd made up my mind. And to be honest, it still wasn't very clear. So fast forward, at the top of this year, I rolled out a new everything. I mean, you name it, it was new. It was very expensive. It was very mentally exhausting. I was determined to finally be in alignment with who I was.
Hmm.
I didn't mention this, but I worked with the college market because people told me that's where the money was. And it was. Um, but it wasn't what I wanted. I had to figure out what it is that I love. So how I got to this point, I was randomly doing content just to have some momentum. And I was on a podcast interview and a woman said, "You speak so well." The person that was introducing me, "Did you always speak like that?" And I said, "No. Are you crazy?" And I told her the story, how I had a lazy tongue and how I had insecurities about it, how I changed my major because of it. And that video went viral. People were asking, "Well, I want to know how to speak better. Do you have classes about that? Well, what do you do about breaths? And what do you do about long pauses? What do you do when you're nervous?" So I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna just create some content around it. And I fell in love with it. That was literally this year, a little bit before this year, not this year, a little bit at the end of 2023, rolling into
Hmm.
24.
Hmm. Hmm.
And it's so fascinating. My ideal clients who come to me are usually those whom are transitioning into a high visibility leadership role. They feel a little insecure about their voice and their presentation skills. They're the bomb.com in their work, but now that they have to be front facing, they want to cultivate that skill. That's the first kind. The second kind is that small business owner who wants more visibility, wants to develop a revenue stream with speaking by way of keynotes and workshops. So those are the two that I've been working with. So I'm going to get to the art of it in a second and the science, but to bring the connection of why I'm here today, there's two phases in which I work with individuals, and that can be developing your art and science of how you communicate, whether that's keynote, workshops, presentations, etc., and how you sell them. And then the other piece is consulting with other businesses. So we're B2B, and I'm not only the face that goes out and speak. And that's my STEM vocal value. So if you have seen any of my content online, I'm shifting from being the face of my brand because, to be honest, I don't want to perform anymore. I just want to teach. I
Hmm.
want to teach the skill. It's teaching is my highest spiritual gift. And so I have been grooming other communicators to go out on behalf of vocal value. That's a B2B arm.
I love
But I'm
that.
here today with you because we all have a opportunity to continue develop, even myself, continue to develop what I call our verbal character. It starts off as a competency first, which is your ability to do something very well. We all have a verbal character and competency. And some of the things that I notice about presenters, and you could drop your questions or comments, that does not disrupt me, and I'm really good at managing them. Um, some of the things that I have observed that cringes me when I see it is, you know, if we say we are a thought leader in our thing, like that's our jam, I know this, you should pay me, especially if we're asking for anything in the five-figure mark. If we say that we're that, we should have our own language about it. Notice I said verbal character and verbal competency. I didn't say what you say when you're talking or your public speaking skills. That's my language. There's a verbal character. And all of that is tone, pitch, tonality, volume. Those are common terms, but I created my own language. Thought leaders have their own language. So if any of the content that you share, you find that you're commonly repeating other sayings, to me, that's a red flag. This person is developing their thought leadership. I never quote anybody, not because I think so highly of myself, but God gifts me words and verbiage to share. He gives it to you too if you ask. And so that language is what I share. Example of this, I'm gonna answer your question in just a second, Mark. 2 weeks ago, I did a session on rest at my church. I would never offer this publicly. I'm only sharing this as an example. I prayed and asked God to give me the words to share with that group. He gave me, now mind you, rest is a very common generic topic, right? He gave me fatigue is a wellness adversary. Time organization is a wellness ally. He gave me that. That's not something I've heard, but it's my own language. So the issue that I have with Chat GTP or Chat PT, whatever it is, and
Yes.
those tools, while they do help us streamline processes and get things out faster, they're cripping us. of developing our own language. So I really challenge you on that part. Mark asks, how do you break the habit of saying or favorite word right? So good. A lot of the nuances that we have verbally and non-verbally, meaning with our body, we don't know them because we're not studying ourselves. In fact, when I have seen other public speaking coaches, when I have seen them teach other people, they teach them based on their style of communication.
It's so true.
They say, oh, you should tell a story like this. You should lean in. You should. I don't do that because you have your own natural cadence. You have your own natural body mechanics. You have to study that and figure out what it is for you. It's going to be different for everybody. Otherwise, we'd be sounding alike.
That's true. That's so
So
true.
I don't watch other speakers. I do have a favorite, and the first time I heard her, Gloria Mayfield Banks,
Oh, I
I
love
saw
her.
her at
Detroit.
she's from Detroit.
Yes.
So, see, I don't even know because I don't even study. I saw her one time and I was like, I like her. I liked her. She had a very unique presence. It didn't sound like I could associate who coached her
Hmm.
because sometimes we sound like the person who coached us. I'm not saying that to ding it. I'm just having you to generate awareness so you can ask yourself, how do I want to communicate?
Yeah.
What does my voice sound like?
Yeah.
So, Mark, to answer your question, to help with those filler words, is what we call them, I would, one, whenever you're speaking, I would record it and play it back. We
Mm.
got to get in the habit of studying how we communicate. It's then through watching, you can say, oh man, I noticed that I. So the next time you're speaking, you're almost generating into your mind, okay, remember you do that thing. So try to focus on that. The next time it comes around, you record it, watching again. Over time, you will improve. It's like athletes watching their tape after they play in their practice. They're
Mhm.
watching so that they can make those changes. Most people aren't watching themselves after they perform. They have their thought process about how it went, but they're not sitting through watching that joint from start to finish. And notice how there are very parts of me because I feel in this place, I feel culturally safe, that there are little instances where I can drop in bombs that resonate with a Black audience. I don't do that everywhere because I think there's power in appealing universally. Most of the people who cut my checks are not Black. They're white. And a white person don't know joint. They don't know bomb those empresses. We assume that they do, but I travel the country and speak. I done been seen some places. It don't look like where I'm from. I'm from the DMV. Very cultured. It doesn't look like that universally. And so I think we should be appealing to, we say I'm national, I'm a global speaker, we should be appealing globally and nationally, not just regionally. So Mark, study. And if you're really good, part of it, the psychology behind why people like to use fillers is they don't like the silence.
Right.
Silence is signaling to them, oh, maybe they feel, they meaning whomever's listening to you, maybe they feel like I don't know what I'm talking about. So if I keep talking, it won't appeal or won't appear that I don't know what I'm saying. And that is not true. That is not true. Being okay with the pause will allow you to not feel. And
That
this
is
is
so
something
good.
that I have mastered. If you notice, I probably have not used the since I've been with you,
Yeah.
but I have paused. So it's getting comfortable with those moments of silence.
That
Yep,
is
and
good.
studying.
That is good. One of my filler words is a long filler word that is three syllables. Is actually. So I'll say
Actually.
actually because while
Mm,
I'm saying it, I'm trying to figure out what I'm saying next. So I'll
yep.
say actually a lot.
Mhm.
But I noticed that I do say it, and I'm trying to break myself from saying actually. Like, what is the opposite of actually? Like fake? Like, yeah, it doesn't make any sense when I'm saying actually. It's like, okay, well, like when someone says, well, to be truthful, well, what were you before? Not true.
Yes, and the other thing is people say, in my opinion.
Well,
It's your
whose
opinion
opinion?
because you're speaking it.
Right?
So
Who's
just say it. The other thing people say is to piggyback off, thought leaders don't piggyback. They add value.
Mhm.
They add value in addition to. So avoiding those what we call common terms and even industry jargon that does not appeal universally. The average American is at an eighth grade reading level. So our appeal universally should be in language that's commonly understood.
Mhm.
Commonly understood. What questions do you have?
You all can unmute. Okay, there you go. Esther has a question.
Wondered
What you
if
got?
you agree. Hi, how you
Hi.
doing?
Oh,
Um,
good.
I wonder if you agree with a coach, which I just heard recently, who said that you should review your tape in three ways. One, record yourself, then turn the phone over, listen to the audio. What do you hear? Edit that, see what you hear in that. Second way, turn the video, turn the phone over, look at the video with the sound off. Look at what you see. What do you see there? What do you like? What don't you like? Third way, transcribe the audio. See how many ums, ahs, whatever else that you see in there that you don't like. Edit those out. Once you take a look at those three ways, then you'll be able to improve upon your performance.
Mhm. I love it.
What do you
First of all, I
think?
love your voice. It's beautiful,
Oh,
by the way. It's very captivating. And I don't know if you all know this, but scientifically, the tonality in which you speak determines the duration in which people can listen to you.
That is so true.
So if you have a high pitch, just scientifically, I'm not, no shade if you have a high pitch, because I actually do too. I've learned to speak in this tone. Scientifically, it's harder for someone to listen to you for a longer period of time. Um, I agree with that, and that is something that I also teach, not the method of turning the phone over and back over, but definitely when you're studying yourself, you should watch it first on mute. Because remember, people hear with their eyes, so they're watching you. And this is easier said than done, but sometimes when we're really passionate about something, our facial expressions
Get crazy.
they get very crazy. And we
Yes.
don't know that unless you've mastered having like conscientiousness about what's showing on your face. But we're like, and you gotta get it. You gotta make sure you get it. And, depending on who you are appealing to and who your buyer is, everything falls back to the buyer. Who is buying what you sell? If that appeals to them, keep going. If you don't feel it appeals to them, then there's opportunity for evolvement. So, one of my practices when I'm speaking about something I'm really passionate about, and I know I do the same thing, like unleashed unconsciously, like I have to consciously do that. I try smiling as I'm saying it. Like right now, I'm smiling as I'm talking. But yes, you should watch the video first on mute, and then you should watch it with the sound and the movement. That is something that I do teach. So, whomever shared that with you, it's a great tip.
And transcribing it was really good too. That
Mm-hmm.
that part that was really good. Esther too, by the way, her career is in journalism, so she's TV and radio. She's in broadcasting.
That explains that voice. It's beautiful. It's really beautiful.
Yeah, that's what she does.
You're welcome.
I have a question. How are you?
It's good to see you.
Good seeing you too. How's my tone? Is it low? Low? I don't want to be high.
I don't know if you can get high with those vocals that you have.
uh, just to follow up on what you said about knowing the buyer. You said that you have a consistent audience primarily, I believe. You said your audience consistent. But what happens if you do have different audiences that you go in front of? And how do you avoid if having certain expressions or antics may be deficient in one place? Just talk about the challenges or what needs to be done with the different groups that you may be working with.
So good. And that's a really great question. I experienced that challenge too. So I always think about where's my buyer finding me? So there are people who you already know. You to honestly, even if you pivoted five times, they would still know you as the thing. They'll just keep coming back, buying from you, referring you for that thing. It doesn't change. Those are not the people who we should be changing I would say, what appeals to them, our media, social media, videos, content, and such. But okay, let me make it a little bit more practical. So right now I'm running Google ads. They're very expensive. Oh my God, Lord, please, please. Um, right now I'm running Google ads and they are running to a video that is appealing to emerging leaders in the workplace. Now, people who find me through that Google ad, 9 times out of 10, they don't quite, the way that Google ad is set up, unless they're doing some extra research, they wouldn't find anything else. So that's one audience. I've had some success in Google ads. It takes a while for it to pay in. I don't even want to talk about how much money I've spent. It takes a while for those ads to kind of cure. But so that's one audience that I target through Google ads. Now, if you're interacting with me on LinkedIn, that content is also for those who hire, like HR leaders who are hiring subject matter experts to come in and teach their staff. So that content is for buyers who are on that channel. Now, YouTube, that's where I have this challenge, Dr. Walker, because anybody could go there. But my rule of thumb is the content that you post should, if it's like your living, it's like your living press kit and business card. So I'm really cautious about overly posting really nice selfies and nice outfits. Like you won't see that on my content because when someone's sharing like, oh, you should check out this person, they're not coming for my outfit and family photos. They're coming for what they would buy me for. So the moment you signed up to be a thought leader online, then that means your pages, you're choosing to share yourself with the world. I think we should be sharing what we want people to buy. So yes, there's a small element of that where we could be sharing our lives, but the other part we should be sharing, and if you're strategic, you can do both. We should be sharing our thought leadership. If you're good at content creation, you know how to do both. So I would say, Dr. Walker, based on where your buyer lives and how they interact with you should determine what you're doing in that space. No one has ever purchased from me well, that's not true. I was going to say on Instagram. Those are just fan clubs. Instagram is like a business card for me. I don't post on there a lot. People buy on Facebook, for me, Facebook, LinkedIn, and absolutely YouTube.
And your email.
And email. It's very true.
I always said, what about TikTok? Dr. Gigi wants to know about TikTok.
So, all right, Dr. Gigi, I was about to cut my head off trying to keep up with all of these things. I think it was last year, and I was doing it too. You should have seen me. I was pumping out content. I had to go on sabbatical by October. I was tired, running out of inspiration too. I was trying to do all of them. This year, I said, I'm just going to focus on LinkedIn and YouTube. And let me tell you my content strategy. I release a video on YouTube every day, but I am not doing content every day. I do content once a week. So I record my podcast. It's about 15 to 20 minutes. And from that episode, if it's a good episode, sometimes they're not good, y'all, in my opinion. But sometimes they really are good. If it's a good episode, I'd have a minimum of 9 videos. And then I drip them once a day. So it looks like I'm on YouTube every day. I drip a video every day. That helped me in my load. Otherwise, I was feeling a little bit overwhelmed trying to keep up with TikTok and Instagram. So I just chose my 2.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
But
That's good advice.
If TikTok works for you, try it. I would try them all and figure out which one you feel most comfortable with.
What you feel most comfortable with and where your audience is. And what you just said is like maybe where people are finding you and are they like someone could maybe watch you on TikTok and you could be pretty viral and you could be popular. Maybe you're shaking it up on TikTok or whatever. I don't know. But will they buy from you? So where is it that people buy? People buy on LinkedIn. TikTok is my release and fun. I mean, you'll find me just doing the latest dance craze on there, right? So that's not for business. That's just for Pam. Actually, so I have a Instagram that I just did for fun, for my own inspiration, which is aging healthy. And I turned 64. I started when I think I was 60. And I was like, I want to just post older people that are doing fun things, me included. And it's got like 12,000 followers now. I had no idea that that would be a thing. Now, people are saying, well, you should monetize that. Well, I'm not trying to sell that, but
Mhm.
I'm going to listen to my coach that says, certain things that I should do. But it was something that I did not do because I wanted to do PR for people over 60. That is not what I was trying to do. But anyway,
Mhm.
but yeah, TikTok is a thing. I just it tends to TikTok shops, work and that kind of thing. So it just depends on what it is and what you're comfortable with as well.
And what you'll do consistently. It's the consistency that got me paid, not posting every now and then. The first contract that I got from social media was from doing a 30-day challenge. I went live every day for 30 days, and I got a contract with a school in San Antonio, Texas. Never met that woman. I'm like, man, she really trusts me. And she said, I've been watching your series. You're on day 27. I really want you to come to my school. And I
Wow,
said, well, I can't come to San Antonio every day. She said, no, I know. We're going to work out a virtual program. It was
that
about a $15,000 contract.
that is good. That is good. I hope you all heard that being consistent is the thing. That is the thing. Yes, yes. What I find
Um,
looking at a lot of you guys when I'm seeing your content and things like that, the messaging, and I had this call with Dr. Gigi today, needs to be more what is in tune with the first thing we said in our worksheets. Like, who is your client? Are you talking to them? Are you talking about what keeps them up at night? Are you talking about their pain points? Are you talking to them like you're talking to a friend? So a lot of your content is like you're an influencer. You know what I mean? Like an influencer is a person that's like posting the best selfie or putting together the cutest little whatever, whatever. But are you talking to the client about what they are looking for and letting them know that you can solve their problem? So just finding that messaging is really, really important. But speaking to them directly. Um, Linnita said something really, really key. She said that she's running Google AdWords. So when people are looking for something, what would they put in to find you in Google? They're not going to, maybe they wouldn't use the words that you use, like executive coach or public speaking coach, but they're looking like how to speak better at work. Something like that. It's a phrase. What would they put in Google if they were looking for you? Or if you think like, what would they put in if they were looking for Esther? And she puts that in. Where do you show up in the Google search? Are you on the first page, second page? So hopefully when people are looking for me, they're looking for speakers, PR, PR for speakers.
mhm.
I happen to own, thanks to my domain, real estate guy, speakerpr.com and speakerspr.com, right? Because those are the things those are the two keywords together. But just knowing what is it, would they, if they didn't know your name, would they be able to put in keywords or a phrase to find you? And I usually say, if you put in that phrase, who shows up there? And then just try to figure out like why they are showing up and why you are not.
Mhm.
Okay.
How did everybody feel about your video that you were able to produce at Speak Sell Shine?
They're
When you
still
watched their
in the
stuff.
they're
Oh, they
still in the process of editing those. I think only a couple of them. I think Michael Wynn is the one that has finished his, and he has his out, or will have it out this week. And he was ecstatic. He loved it. He said even his wife loved it. I was like, okay, she gets the stamp of approval. If the wife loves it, everybody loves it.
That's right.
Yeah. So yeah, he really liked his, and I think Dr. Gigi has got hers back, and I think a few people just turned their edits in because they had to find their interview and that kind of thing.
Mhm.
Oh, I think Dr. Gigi
I
has
got mine
well.
back. I got mine back today, the first draft.
Oh, you did? Okay, I didn't see yours.
I got it back. Yeah, you were CC'd on that. And I liked it. I just have a couple suggestions I think are minor, but yeah, I loved it.
Oh, good, good. And I think Natalie, yours was in the process as well, if Natalie is still here. Natalie got some of hers. Okay. A question from Esther. She says, how long did it take for you to find your focus?
Yeah, and I got serious in 2009. That's when I really started investing and um doing. I was learning, but I wasn't doing. So I it's so easy to like start something, but it's really hard to continue.
Mhm.
And I was starting things and not continuing them, so changing them. So I started, okay, I'm gonna do this. And it's crazy. Everything that I have at this point up until then in terms of like books and media are all related to my past demographics. So the longer it took me to get clear, the more I was creating things that are not suitable to my new audience. But I will say I learned a heck of a lot through trial and error. And I think it was good to know what I did not. Like learning where I don't want to be. I can do it. It's not a matter of can you do it or not. It's a matter of like, does this align with like who I am and what I enjoy in this stage? Yeah. So getting clear about that. And that's what I mean by holistic. Because even in all transparency, at the top of the year, I did my first TEDx talk and I targeted senior leaders and executives. I've never been a senior leader or an executive. I had to study the things that concern them and learn their challenges, and I didn't enjoy that. That was a sign for me that that's not in alignment. What aligns with me is an emerging leader because I've had to do that. I've had to emerge, meaning not be visible or not be noticed or known for a thing and slowly become seen as a thing. I've had to do that. That resonates with me. And the reason why that's important is because who you are targeting, you have to create things to attract them. So there's a level of like understanding that you have to have deeply to resonate consistently, creatively. And the more you're out of alignment, the more energy it takes to create that. It's easy to create content about emerging thought leaders. That's who I am. Easy. It was really hard to think about how to target senior leaders and executives. So I stopped using that language. Yeah.
Vocalvalue.com, I put that in there. When did you come up with that name? Because when we were at Speak Sell Shine, that was not it.
No, it wasn't it. I don't even remember. I don't even remember, but it's so interesting
I like it.
that when I think about vocal value, it's more than just whom you are on the stage. I always feel like, we should really be the same person. So there's value in developing those skills so that you communicate better with your children, your family, your parents, those who you lead and oversee, and then those who hire you.
Mhm.
So I think again, there's when you're this continuity in the development of a thing, it becomes, it's easier to show up and do. I didn't prepare anything for tonight. I don't know if you caught on to that or not. This is just aligns with who I am
Right.
and what I teach. It should be that easy for you.
One of the things that I think would be good for you, Linnita, as well as other people, whatever it is that is your thing that you talk about. It's like if someone were to put you in a room and you're going to come out talking about it. You're going to get other people talking about it. If you're at a family reunion, you can end up talking about it. If you are at church, after work, you're going to end up talking about it. This is your thing. You're going to always talk about it. People will meet me. And yes, I know other things as well. You talk politics and all that, but I'm going to always kind of get back to PR and branding. So the thing that you love to talk about, SCORE, which is score.org, they are always looking for people to do local workshops. And the reason why I say that would be good for you is doing the local workshops for SCORE. It's really for the life of your business. As we talked about, every city has a SCORE, but it gives you such good SEO value. You do the webinar on the website, they'll put your picture on there, they'll put your bio on there, they'll put your links. Even though you're doing it for free, it's like having your listing within the business area. So doing something like that, like how to be a better speaker, just saying that for you. And of course,
I'm
SCORE
looking
would
it up
want you
now.
to do that. I mean, why wouldn't they? It's like that's your thing. So whatever your thing is, SCORE, which is a part of government, I think it's part of government. It stands for something retired executives.org. But it's a really good place to kind of get that thing that you speak about out to a different audience to see how they respond, but also to sell SCORE in that. And then you'll be able to be that. It builds that credibility and thought leadership. And
I
usually
just
about a
looked it up. Thank you, Pam.
I know there's one in your area. You got
There is.
all the government places are there. And everybody has a SCORE. There's a lady in Ready, Set, Go, Speak. She is a mentor in SCORE as well. So you can be a part of the thing where you're actually mentoring. And so the people she mentors in SCORE end up being also her clients as well, her paid clients, but she could be a mentor for them as well.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Pam. I'll definitely look that up. I'm looking at it now.
Yeah.
If there aren't any other questions, I'll wait for 2 minutes to see if there's any, if it's not a question, a comment, feedback, revelation.
A revelation. That's definitely one of the revelations I think that people had when they had to watch the video. And Dr. Gigi was like, oh my goodness, this is so overwhelming. You had to watch it, right? You had to watch it and pick the things. And I don't think what you said about people studying themselves. Now, they may study other speakers. They may study Lisa Nichols or, we had Sherwood last week and but do you study yourself? That part. That's hard. I know a lot of people was like, I don't like the way my voice sounds. I don't like to watch myself. Did you have to in order to get better? When
Yep.
I do my podcast live, I may come upstairs and I'll watch a little bit of it. And Mark knows I'll watch a little bit of my live podcast, but I really don't like watching myself. But you just gave me a revelation that in order to get better, you need to watch yourself through that in order to get better.
Yes, your example about sports, you watch a lot of game tape, and I thought that resonated very well.
Thank you, Mark. Good to see you too.
Good to see you as well.
Okay.
Well, the YouTube channel, I love it, the way it looks, the way you set it up. Are you monetizing yet? How many?
I am not monetized yet. I did reach 1,000 subscribers 2 weeks
Okay.
ago,
That's
but
good.
I have to get the watch time up.
That watch
And
time is the thing, isn't it?
yes.
That
So
thing.
my strategy is going to be to take my episodes down to 10 minutes. So it wouldn't be a long duration of content that they have to consume so I can meet the watch time. Brevity is very hard. If you find that you can be succinct and impactful at the same time, you got a good thing going.
Yeah.
A lot of us are very long-winded. So 10 minutes for a podcast episode for it to be like value packed, even I have to improve on that. But brevity is a superpower.
So if you make it shorter, you're going to get the watch time up more?
Yeah, because if I make it shorter, even if it's like 5 minutes or so, and it's good, they're likely to watch a shorter, think about that. Like if you pull up a YouTube video and it's only 5 minutes, you're likely to finish the whole thing versus one that's 20.
Right.
You're likely to finish it in that one setting. So that's my thought process. It's trial and error, just trying. But I did want to share this with the group. If anyone is interested in perfecting their public speaking skills, I do have a schools community. It's an online community. It's only $29 a month, $199 if you decide to do the whole year. But it's not a hot seat. We call it a red seat, where twice a month you come on and you get to practice whatever it is that you're working on that day. It's supposed to be a safe place because a lot of the people that I work with, their face being somewhere, even revealing that this may not be a strength of theirs, is a little discomforting. So it's a safe place for what I call high visibility leaders to come and practice. No judgment.
That is good.
I'll drop the link if you're interested. Again, it's only $29 a month. I don't know nobody with my level of expertise who's selling nothing that low, but I'm looking to build the community. So it's $29 through the rest of the year.
I love what you're doing, though. It is so needed. It really is. So many people I find really do want to speak. They want to jump on the stages, but to really master the craft is a whole nother level. And I really don't see a lot of people that are doing that in a way that is authentic to them. I see a lot of speakers that are teaching speaking, and they're teaching them to speak like them because they said, well, hey, if it worked for me, it should work for you.
Yeah.
But what you're doing is a little bit different. So I really appreciate that. And I know that you struggle because you were in the youth space and that's where all your content was for years. And you were like, I just can't do it again. And that's where you found that the really the speaking coach is really like the thing. There's a vocal coach as well. I mean, Kim Jordan, a client of mine, she's a vocal coach. She is a producer, music, plays the piano, but she's a vocal coach. She teaches singers how to sing better. I didn't even know that was a thing. She's like, that's where a lot of her money comes from, not from the records.
True.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Yeah. So schools. Oh, okay. Since school.
Sorry, it shouldn't be an S. It's no S. I added an S.
Oh, okay. Okay, school with the okay. It's one of those things. Sometimes the African Americans we add S's to everything.
I know my mama does.
Mine did too.
I got a funny story I'm gonna share, and then I'm gonna jump off.
It'd be Walmart's with the S.
So my mom, to give you some backstory, both my parents, they didn't graduate from high school. They went back, got their GEDs, and they worked in jobs where if you had really good work ethic, you could progress to leadership. So my mom worked her way up to senior level leadership. And but her communication skills still mirror those who might not have, worked their way up to senior leadership. So when I was in college, I came home. This was me training myself, Mark, to not drop my INGs, to just be more intentional about my speech. So I came home, and to do that, Mark, I didn't mention this, but you have to use your whole mouth, your jaw, your lips, your tongue. So I came home talking like this because I was training my mouth to memorize how to correctly say words. And my mom, when I came home, mind you, I'm at school with white people. She's like, I don't know why you're talking like that. You ain't got to put on no mask in this house. You need to stop talking like that. And I said, Mom, I'm not going to stop because I'm trying to speak better. She thought it was so funny. And so she still remembers that story. She said, I'm glad you stuck with it. Because now I don't have to do that with my mouth. But because I have a conscientiousness about how a word should be pronounced. I didn't used to have that. And so we just got to do what works for us.
That's right.
It's true. Even watching ourselves on Zoom, a lot of times you will find if I'm trying to do a screen capture say I'm doing my podcast or I'm doing a podcast with someone, a lot of times people will blink their eyes a lot. And so I'm trying to find a screenshot where they're talking and their eyes are open. And when I'm taking pictures of my clients, you're talking about the faces that they make. I'm trying to find a good picture of them, or they're doing a television interview on a network show, and they are making the worst facial expressions. And so then I'll send them some screenshots or something like that. And they're like, I don't like those pictures. I don't like those pictures. That's what they're pictures of you. That's how you were looking on television. It's like, I'm trying to tell you. So when you said when you're speaking to smile, even though it doesn't sound natural because you're making another type of point like this, like, but why should I smile if I'm trying to make a point? Because of the people are listening with their eyes. They're listening with their eyes. So
Yeah, it's going to be much easier to receive. You need to do better with life. It's going to be much better to receive it. There's an opportunity to do a little better in life. It's going to be much easier to receive it with that small change.
Right.
Because people start to feel like, she talking about me. Yeah, it's a little belittling, but we don't know that because we're passionate. We just want them to get it. Just get it. So those
And
small changes, yeah.
Esther, you did a television interview last week. What did you think? I sent you some screenshots.
Well, it's funny because the producer told me, because I was looking at the camera here, which was right there.
Mhm.
And she told me, don't look at the camera because it looks like you're looking up, look to the side. So I did what she told me because I did, you're following directions. And sometimes you have to kind of not do what the person says and do what you know in your heart, because I had been teaching for students forever saying, don't look at the side, look at this camera. That's what you're supposed to be looking at. So then it looks like you're looking at the person.
Yeah.
But I figured maybe their camera configuration was different or something. So then when you took photos of me, I'm looking to the side and I'm like, this really sucks. Because I know in my heart, I've taught them, journalist students. If you're doing an interview, make sure you're looking at the camera. And I did what this other lady said, whoever this person of God that was in my ear to do. So,
But the picture, but your facial expressions were good. That was the
okay,
thing.
I'm
Yeah.
glad that I was pissed off that I was not looking at the camera like I've been teaching students to do forever. So, that was the only thing that I felt like I want to look at the whole video because I haven't been able to just sit down and watch
Oh,
the whole interview.
it was good.
Because this is just, I was stressed out trying to do,
Oh, the election stuff.
it's the election stuff. I've got, in fact, I'm supposed to be back working now. So I'm just gonna have to go because it's 7:59. I gotta leave.
Okay.
Nice to meet you, Esther.
Thank you. Thank you. That is fine. That is fine. It is. It is 8 o'clock.
Oh.
I promised to keep you guys for an hour, but I wanted you all to meet.
I had a comment.
And you had a question, Angela, or you got to go?
Yes, I do. Good evening. And Linnita, I absolutely identify with what you mentioned about practicing. When I went to college, I didn't sound like other people. At home, we said mayonnaise and we said naked and things. And I would watch the news and I would watch the soap operas. And as the world turns, and I would sit there as the world turns today, and literally my freshman year in college, that's how I got a lot of my training to pronounce the INGs and to those T's and to slow down. But yeah, so
wow,
to my
That
TV.
is so true.
So you're my twin, my vocal twin.
Yes.
That is so true. So the college kids, they don't watch like One Life to Live and As the World Turns and all that. They're watching Real Housewives of Atlanta, and so they sound ghetto.
True.
Okay. Now
Right.
they're
It's
doing
8 o'clock.
or Kim Kardashian, like you like, and you'd be like, so now I get it. That's where they're getting the training from. Okay. So I get it. Michelle, it's good to see you. Natalie, it's good to see you.
I just took off mute real quick
Okay.
because I'm the opposite of you ladies. I grew up in Kansas around only white people. So I come to the South and they think I sound like I'm white. So I worked hard to like get the slang when in essence I should have been proud of the voice that I have. I just thought I'd share that story.
Oh my God.
That's
Coming
funny.
from Kansas, being one of the only Black kids in the school.
Oh my God. And then you get down south
But
and they
still
don't
being
trust you.
ethnic and everyone saying, you think you're white, you think, and
Yeah,
so
they don't trust you because it's like, oh, I don't know who she thinks she is. That type of thing. Oh my goodness.
I'm
right there with you, Michelle. Right there.
yeah,
with
right.
you.
That Midwest thing. So
Out in Pennsylvania, they're like, "Oh, you sound like a bat," and I'm like, "What is a bat?"
What does that sound like?
I was like, "They're like a Black American princess." I was like, "I don't I don't
Oh,
understand my folks are Jamaican.
Same.
Oh,
I don't know what you're
wow.
talking about. And you sound extra white and an Oreo.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
say
Oreo. Yeah.
awesome.
Oreo. Yep. Got it all. Got it
Yeah.
all.
That is
But very,
the
very
things that we have to
good.
do culturally with our the way we
Mm-hmm.
show up and how
Mm-hmm.
we're seen even before we say anything. It's just people just assume.
Mm-hmm.
But we are who we are. We're not a monolith, but we do. I like what Linnita said at the very beginning that we are universal. We appeal universally. Oprah will sound like a girlfriend sometimes, but then she'll put on her anchor voice as well. So she can code switch and do whatever she needs to. I mean, she's a billionaire, so it's worked for her. So yeah, we just need to be ourselves, but
Yep.
work on being the best version of ourselves.
Yep.
And that's really it. So Linnita, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And everyone join. I see that Dr. Answer, you just joined Telegram as well. So make sure that you join Telegram. Have fun. Dr. Laverne over there in Portugal. All right. All right. And
Bye,
Dr.
everybody.
Gigi, I sent you your recording. You got that? I did send you your recording.
I did get it. Thank
Okay,
you.
good, good. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, Pam,
Huh.
quick question for you. Where did you see my broken link? Was it on my website or
It
for
was on the
Linktree?
link tree.
Okay.
Your link tree. Yep, on the link tree.
Thank
And
you.
I didn't check your website, but always check our links,
Okay.
where you're trying to send people to make sure they're not broke. Because sometimes people won't tell you got broken links. They're just like, she had
Okay.
a broken link. So we
Okay.
check our links a lot. All righty.
Thank
Talk to
you.
you guys later. Thank you. So next
Mhm.
week is Talkadot. Yes,
Mhm.
Talkadot. That's really, really good with Ariel Moody. He's going to be so good. That is one of the things that will help you close sales when we speak. Okay. All righty. So that's the other thing. So I will send this recording out too as well. But you all have a good rest of the evening and trick or treat.
Thank you.
All righty. Bye-bye. Thank you.